Well, hello and welcome to stream. Let's go ahead and see what we can get into. We're going to do a little open lines, Art Bell, Dark Battle, Matter, 10-10-2013.
Somebody out there. Oh, good luck. If you've got a good ghost photograph, I mean, we're looking for the best. So send the best. Send it to webmaster@artbell.com. That's where the ghost photographs go. Thousands of them, I hope. Not really, for Keith's sake. Send it to webmaster@artbell.com. And for ghost stories, we are going to have Spooky Matter on Halloween night. And if you have a good ghost story, and when I say good ghost story, I mean I want to be scared. Okay? So that takes a good story. But I have been scared. Several years we did this, and it scared me. So anyway, send me a little, kind of encapsulated version, if you would please, of your ghost story in email. And include, if you would please, your a phone number. And then Spooky Matter night, we very well may call you. All right. Now, open lines, here it is. Well, coming up, I'll define it in just a moment. Let me get this in. I've got a couple of emails that have me concerned. This comes from Earl up in Montana. Art, I was driving through South Dakota yesterday on I-90 between Wall Drug and Rapid City when I started seeing dead cows and horses all over the north side of the interstate. I was driving west toward home. There were dead cattle lined up head to tail along the fence of the interstate like they were walking, and all of a sudden they dropped dead. It was kind of like something from a disaster movie. I've been driving truck over 30 years, and I've never seen a sight like it. They were also lying in groups dead, an amazing sight. Oof. I don't know, Earl. First I've heard of it. I know there was rough weather up there. Whether that had something to do with it or not, I don't know, but you're right. It's like scene out of a movie. That's freaky. The nation's economy is on the line. President Obama and congressional leaders grouped inconclusively. Like it grouped. Anyways, the Republicans leader came out of the White House and along with the other Republicans took a side entrance out the White House and went back to Congress. And we don't really know what happened, frankly. The news is taking this as perhaps good news that, I don't know, they're not throwing grenades at each other anymore. We'll see. Under pressure from governors, the administration has now said it will allow shuttered national parks to reopen, but only if the states pay for it. Oh, what a day we live in, huh? And then there's this, and I consider this to be a legitimate person who has emailed me. I checked out the name, that's why I consider it legitimate. Art, please don't give my name, but I work for the FDIC. They floated a number of 20 banks failing per weekend if we go into default. I'd love to keep giving inside info if you want, Art. But when I heard they expected 20 failures per weekend, and possibly one of the too big to fail banks to fail, I almost felt like making a run myself. And there's more, and I won't include it now. I'm opening a channel of communication with this person. But it's really scary, is the word. Scary. They can't be crazy enough to let that happen. This is from The Anomalist. And by the way, that's theanomalist.com if you want to go and read more. Robert Hastings shares some of his impressive research regarding the link between nuclear bases and UFO interference, something I should have asked about last night. You know what? With a collection of interviews with launch officers, and there are launch officers who have witnessed firsthand UFO encounters, indicating a disturbing level of interest in our nuclear power and weaponry. That's a partial read. You can read the rest of it. All right, so here's the deal. Open lines defined. Open lines means open, unscreened lines. That's what I'm about to open up to. There'll be nobody screening you, not that they normally do anyway. When we have a guest here, we screen for now your name, because that way I can call your name and you know it's you. And the fact that you have a legitimate question for the guest, and that's it. So they're not really screened, it's just more of a setup. Now it's unscreened. And by that, here's what I mean. When you call, it will ring about 20 times. If I don't pick up during that 20 times, you're going to have to pick it up and try again. We have many, many, many lines. So if you're ringing, you've got a shot. Now, what I'm looking for tonight is anything. Anything goes. I don't care. If you're a time traveler, by all means, I want you to call in. Sounds crazy, right? Time travelers? Not so crazy, actually. If there are time travelers, the big question is, then where are they? And the answer to that question could well be, well, they're here, and, you know, they're not about to walk into the New York Times and throw down proof that they're a time traveler. Just doesn't work that way. You'd be in big trouble. Big trouble. Probably never make it out alive. So I understand that they could be in our timeline and not exactly really vocal about it. I wouldn't be. God, I'd love it to be true. That there really would be time travelers. That time travel really would eventually be possible. Or if you think you're the Antichrist, I certainly want to hear from you. Vampire zombies, or just plain old peoples, humans. Whatever's on your mind is fair game. The numbers are simple. I love our number. It is so simple, 855-REAL-UFO. Now, set your mind at rest. It is a free call. You pay. 855-REAL-UFO. Or if you need the conversion number, it's 855-732-5836. Whatever, it's a really, really cool number. Here we go. Expect the unexpected. This is Dark Matter, and you are on the air.
Yeah.
Hello there. Oh, I know what we're going to have tonight. Everybody has to turn their radio down as soon as they get on the air. It's very important.
Okay, is it me?
That's why. Yes, it is.
I got a question. Is the one guest you got on your radio show, Linda Mulholland?
Yes.
I didn't get a chance to get to her website that she has all her information on.
Let me think.
Because y'all were talking about Bigfoot.
Right. We were talking about Bigfoot, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't give it to you off here. I'll get it for you. Somebody will.
Okay, well, you can just do it on the air or whatever.
I'll send it in the morning.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, thanks, sir.
That's all you need?
Yes.
Our website, okay. All right, well, that was easy. Somebody sent it to me. I'm trying to think of it. I've heard it a million times, and it won't come. You'll get old, you'll see. Hello there, Darth Matter, you're on the air.
Hi, this is Benjamin Marion.
It is who?
Benjamin?
Benjamin, how you doing?
All right. Thank you for listening to. I've been catching a few of your shows, and I've been kind of getting interested in your show lately.
Me too.
I was listening yesterday, and I was hearing you guys talking about nuclear power and energy stuff like that.
That's correct, yes.
I was kind of wondering, how much energy does like a lightning strike produce?
It produces a very, very great deal of energy. However, capturing it and storing it, if that's what you have in mind, is it?
Yeah.
It's not so easy. Very high voltage, very high current will kill you quite quickly if it gets you. But there is no reasonable way. Well, there's a reasonable way to get it, but not store it. That's the problem.
Right. Driving by all those wind turbines that you see them putting out there in the Midwest out there.
Yes.
I was wondering if there was some kind of way to like make some kind of lightning rod, but that doesn't feel like they are doing those, and using transformers or something to capture and utilize the electrical current from a lightning strike.
I think it's a very cool idea. Look, number one, I don't think you want to use them as lightning rods, although you could have a lightning rod on them, and I'm sure they do have lightning rods on them. They're not in favor of the wind jennings getting hit, because if the wind jennings get hit, there's a lot of sensitive electronics inside, and so you don't want that. By the way, let me stop and tell you a story. I'm sure you've all mostly heard the story of my very large antenna, right? I've got 5 acres here, and I have a large double loop that circles is the wrong way to put it, but encompasses 5 acres. It's a loop antenna. I mean, it's really, really, this baby is big. There's no question about it. On a total of 13 towers. Now, this antenna does something pretty weird, and I'm going to outline it right now because I know it'll be a source of some discussion. This antenna has some strange properties, or maybe not strange. Maybe it's normal, but it has a very great deal of voltage on it. And there's a couple things I want to tell you about this. Number one, the voltage is at a minimum like 330 volts. It has components of both AC and DC, which we saw in a scope. We haven't had any real pros out here to test it. I've done about as much testing as I can do. Our local company was going to come out here and inspect it, test it, but they never did. It's really got enough voltage and current to knock you on your butt. Here's 2 other facts about it. Well, 3 other facts. Number one, that voltage is present on a clear, blue sky, no wind, and I do pass. So you would think there would be a rise time for that voltage, but there isn't. It's there instantly. You can draw a like 1/4-inch spark every time you close it to ground, and I mean even in rapid fashion. So the rise time is awfully quick. That's pretty weird, right? And then people said, well, it might be coupled from your local electric lines. I thought, well, that was a reasonable suggestion. So we tested it when we had a power failure. The voltage was still there. In fact, frankly, I view the voltage as more of a bother than anything else, but of course it has possibilities. I have something that takes it to ground. And I did that after I lost about 2 or 3 very expensive radios. Well, 3, actually. Very expensive. And so I have a special apparatus that takes it to ground with choke and some other stuff. Goes to ground. Safely discharged to ground. It's an awesome antenna. Then there's one other thing. And you might want to explain this to me, and I probably, it's bad luck for me to be saying this right now. But bear in mind, I have 13 towers out there. The center tower that I feed is 100 feet, better than 100 feet high. The others are 76 feet each. This is a big deal. in all the years that I've had this up, you would imagine that I would have been hit by lightning a lot of times, but it's never happened. It's me knocking on wood. It's never happened. You know, we're going on 15, 18 years, whatever it is. I should have been hit a whole bunch of times, but I haven't been yet. No wood. Now, there is a theory that having this many towers, and they're all grounded, may protect me against lightning. I don't know that to be true, and I could well get hit by lightning, and the whole thing could, the whole theory could go up in smoke. Me knocking again. And I tremble every time we have a big lightning storm. But it's kind of interesting, if you go out in the dark and there's a thunderstorm coming over, you can see a kind of a purplish ball of something, like a plasma ball at the top of these towers. And then there'll be a lightning strike and poof, the little purple balls are gone. So it may be protecting me. And every time I say that, I have to knock on wood because, you know, as I mentioned, I tremble every time. So that's what I've got here. That's what it does. And, you know, theories beyond that of what does it, you're welcome to contemplate. If anybody has serious equipment, wants to come out and test it, it is available to be tested, all before digging. Hello there, you're on the air, Dark Matter.
Hey, this is Jojo. I wanted to ask, yeah, how you doing? I wanted to ask a question. What is your belief on, like, what is your take as far as, like, if we were to discover life out there, would it change people's belief on this planet? Like, it would, like, shatter out the belief of people?
I guess it would depend on, well, let me turn it around on you. If we suddenly discovered aliens, and we simply discovered that there is life elsewhere, would that bother you?
No, I think somebody had to create them, so I mean,
Okay,
that would be possible.
I'm with you, so it wouldn't bother you, right?
No.
Now, if we discovered life and we met them and we got into a dialogue with them, and we found out that they were the ones who had seeded life here on Earth, in other words, they are our parents.
Right.
Would that bother you?
Yep, that would. That would definitely.
There you go.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I've been a big fan of your show for a very long time, so.
Thank you very much for the call and take care. Yes, I think that's the way it would go for the majority of people. Aliens, well, okay. If they come down holding the Bible and saying, we too believe in God, okay, aliens, no problem. If they come down and say, look, you were seated here just like we were by the Type 3 civilization, 3 stars to the right, then there'd be trouble. Big trouble. Hello there, Dark Matter, and you are on the air.
Hello, my name is Larry. I'm calling from northwestern Minnesota. Thank you.
How you doing, Larry?
Good. I've been a long-time listener, and this is my first time I've ever been able to get through to you. And I have a special request that of a guest that I would like you to interview and have on your show.
Well, my producer is surely listening right now. It's his job.
I'd like you to, if it's possible for you to have a person by the name of Gordon Lightfoot. I think he'd be an interesting guest for you to have.
Oh, I love Gordon. I had Gordon on before. You missed that, huh?
Well, apparently I did. But perhaps I'll go to a website and find it in an archive and watch it. And I saw him in concert 2 weeks ago, and I think he's a really interesting man.
Well, he certainly is. And he certainly does sing well, doesn't he? I mean, if you actually, I was sort of into that earlier. If you stop and you listen to the lyrics of a lot of songs, there's wisdom to be found there.
He writes great songs. There's no doubt about that. His words tell a story when he's singing.
That's fact.
It is truly poetry in motion.
Right. It certainly is. All right, my friend, I'll put Gordon down.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You know who Gordon Lightfoot is, right? No? It's back in the days when people made actual music. What has happened to our music? That's also a good open lines question. Anybody wants to try and answer it? You're kind of on to what I play, right? All from, well, the era when, in my opinion, they made real music. What are they making now? I don't think I'll open that one. You know, I want the language here clean. Hello there, Dark Matter, you're on the air.
Yeah, my name is Ryan, and I'm calling from the Pacific Northwest.
Hey, Ryan.
I'd like to say hi to all of my friends out there that are listening. I wanted to bring
Are you sure you have friends out there?
Well, I think I might do. I might have a couple out there. Hopefully, I don't have too many enemies. I wanted to bring up a case. And I know where there's a video and a case that occurred where you can, the photographs of this UFO are so incredible that you can almost see. I'm a little bit nervous here. I know where there's photographs of actual.
Stop. Take a real deep breath. Just relax. And you're going to tell me about a cool case with cool photographs of a UFO. And I'm really interested. So where would I see these photographs?
Well, there was a video of a UFO over the ocean near Turkey, and the video was so clear and so close that you can see what looked like figures standing inside. And if you do,
all right, you got my attention. Where do I see it?
Well, I was going to say that if you're going to have Roger Lear on as a guest in the future, he has videos. So if you search it down, if anybody searches down for Turkey UFO on the internet, there's a link to this analysis that this expert did in Chile, and I just wanted to point out to the audience that we've been looking for these kind of images for a long time.
All right, I have an idea. Why don't you do this for me? Go find the link you were just talking about and send it over to webmaster@artbell.com. Now, if you do that, Keith will look for the link and put it up on the website. How would that be?
Sounds good.
Okay, can you do that?
I'll do that. I got a question for you before I go. Whatever happened to the show you did with this mysterious Victor who claimed to have snuck a tape out of Area 51? Did anything ever come of that? Did you ever figure out who that guy was, or was it all set up?
It absolutely was not a setup. Nothing I do on this program is a setup. Everybody thinks, I don't know, JC is a setup. They think that was a setup. Nothing I ever do is a setup. Ever. I would never do that.
I'm not saying you did. I'm more questioning it.
I know. No, I absolutely no. Look, it was what it was. I never found out anything further. A lot of people also believe that it was Whitley Strieber that was talking. Wasn't guaranteed. Beyond that, I don't know.
You never heard from him since then?
No, sir.
Okay.
But I'm totally open to it. If anybody to do with that or any other case wants to get a hold of me, hey, we'll talk. No problem. I'm open for anything. You all should know that by now. Hello there. You're on the air. This is Dark Matter.
Art.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Wonderful to hear you again. I'm Anne Marie from New York City.
All right.
And my Palmer Jet